Ladies and gentlemen, there is a silent war happening every single day, and most people don't even realize they're part of it. It's not a war with weapons. It's not a war with others. It's a war between the voice that says I can and the voice that says I can't. Every morning you wake up, you are handed a powerful tool, your voice. The question is, are you using it to build yourself or to break yourself? Stay with me, not just for motivation, but for a system. Not just for inspiration, but for instruction. Because what you're about to hear isn't a list. It's a ritual, a discipline, a path. These 9 things, when spoken daily, are the difference between chaos and clarity, between drifting and direction. Discipline is not something you stumble upon, it's something you craft, moment by moment, word by word. Every day the way you speak to yourself is either sharpening your focus or dulling your edge. Think about it. If a warrior trains his body but neglects his mind, what use is his strength when fear takes over? The same applies to everyday life. You can learn, hustle, strive, achieve, but without daily mental discipline, all of it stands on unstable ground. The truth is, we wake up each morning into a world that demands more of us, more decisions, more reactions, more resilience. Most people prepare their schedules. Few prepare their state of mind. Yet the state of your mind will decide how you move through everything that follows. This is why daily self-talk is not some motivational luxury. It is mental training. It is the sharpening of the inner blade. When you speak powerful truths to yourself, not empty flattery, but deeply rooted affirmations, you create a map for your mind to follow. Discipline isn't just action. It's repetition. And what you repeat, you become. Now, ask yourself, what thoughts do I repeatedly feed myself every day? If you don't take charge of the narrative in your mind, it will be written for you by fear, by distraction, by the noise of the world. Discipline is when you say no. I choose the story. And then you repeat that story again and again until it becomes a part of your identity. But don't mistake this for force. This is not about suppressing what you feel. It is about consciously feeding what is constructive. There is a difference. When you tell yourself something empowering, it doesn't mean you ignore difficulty. It means you face it equipped. It means you walk into the day with the armor of clarity and the weapon of focus. Discipline is forged not only in what you do, but in how you think and how often you return to that thinking. Consider a martial artist who repeats the same form thousands of times, not because he's bored, not because he doubts it, but because every repetition takes him deeper. Every repetition etches it not just into his muscle memory, but into his very being. The same principle applies here. Speaking truth to yourself every day is how you cut through mental noise and return to alignment. It's how you remind yourself who you are and who you're becoming. There's a power in hearing your own voice say, I can, I will, I am. It's not magic, it's mastery. One that builds slowly, quietly, consistently, and over time, it creates a mind that doesn't collapse under pressure, but sharpens in it. Most people wait for discipline to arrive like a feeling, but feelings are unreliable guests. Discipline is a decision, a practice, a way of life, and that life begins with language. Every day, before the world speaks to you, you must speak to yourself. Because those who wait to feel strong are often swept away by the day. But those who remind themselves they are strong, those who say it until they believe it, are the ones who stand still while the storm passes around them. Tell yourself the right things, not once, but daily, and you won't just develop discipline. You'll become it. Every word you speak to yourself is a seed. Some grow into strength, clarity, and resilience, others into doubt, hesitation, and fear. The mind is always listening, not to what others say, but to what you say to yourself. And what you plant there, whether consciously or not, determines the quality of your thoughts, the direction of your actions, and the shape of your life. Imagine your mind as a fertile field. You don't get to decide whether something will grow. Growth is inevitable. What you do decide is what grows. If you plant fear every morning, don't be surprised if anxiety blooms by afternoon. If you let insecurity take root, it will soon become a forest of self-doubt. But if you plant the right words, the right intentions, the mind responds with quiet strength. Thing it adapts, it transforms. This is not philosophy, this is nature. Everything grows from something. And in the case of the human spirit, it grows from the words we water ourselves with daily. Most people speak to themselves without awareness. They absorb negativity from others, inherit limiting beliefs from the past, and recycle the same harmful thoughts again and again, all without realizing they're the gardener of that internal landscape. But the moment you become aware, the moment you choose to speak intentionally to yourself, everything changes. You're no longer a victim of unconscious growth. You become the architect of it. The words you tell yourself in the quiet hours matter more than any praise or criticism you receive from the outside world. Why? Because external voices fade, but your own voice echoes. It becomes the background noise of your life, the silent influence behind your decisions, reactions, and sense of worth. That voice, when aligned with truth and clarity, can carry you through the hardest of days. When corrupted by fear or doubt, it becomes the very thing that blocks your path, no matter how hard you try to move forward. And here's something many overlook. Even silence is a message. If you say nothing to yourself, your mind fills the gap with whatever the world throws at it. That's why being intentional is so important. It's not just about positivity. It's about choosing a direction, about saying, this is what I stand for, this is what I believe, this is the energy I bring into today. Telling yourself the right things each day isn't about denial. It's about design. You're not pretending problems don't exist. You're reminding yourself you are bigger than them. You're not ignoring challenges. You're affirming your capacity to face them. The right words ground you. They root you in purpose. They prepare you for life, moment by moment. This daily practice of intentional self-talk is not dramatic. It's quiet. It doesn't announce itself, but over time it shifts everything. The way you handle conflict, the way you manage pressure, the way you respond when things don't go as planned. Because when the inner voice is strong, the outer world loses its power to shake you. Start your day like a gardener. Plant carefully, tend consciously, speak with intention. Because words don't just describe your life, they shape it. And the most important conversation you will ever have is the one you repeat silently every morning with yourself. That's the voice that sets the tone. That's the voice that builds the path. So speak wisely, because the seeds you plant today become the mindset you walk with tomorrow. Every day you step out into the world, you enter a battlefield. Not a battlefield of swords and shields, but of energy, distractions, unexpected turns, and emotional challenges. And on this battlefield, the most essential protection is not found outside, it is what you carry within. Mental armor, that unshakable inner stillness, that clarity, that calm strength. And like any armor, it doesn't appear by accident. It must be put on deliberately, every day. Your thoughts, your breath, your posture, all of these are part of your mental preparation. You don't just wake up and expect to be focused, patient, or unbreakable. These are not traits gifted by chance. They are forged like steel through the discipline of daily inner work. Every time you choose to respond instead of react, to stay calm when chaos calls your name, to return to your breath when your mind begins to spiral, you are putting on that armor. The world will not wait for you to be ready. It will come rushing in with its noise and pressure the moment you open your eyes. So the preparation must begin even earlier, in the quiet, before the day has its grip on you. This is when you train your mind, when you remind yourself who you are, what you value, and how you choose to move through the world. Not how you feel like moving, but how you decide to move. Mental armor is not cold. It is not distance from emotion. It is the maturity to hold emotion without being swept away by it. It is not about being unaffected. It's about being prepared. The rain may fall, but you have a coat. The wind may rise, but your footing is steady. And this preparation, this resilience, is built through small, consistent practices. Stillness, reflection, awareness, discipline in thought and breath. One of the greatest mistakes people make is assuming they will rise to the level of their hopes or their feelings. But under pressure, people don't rise, they fall. And what they fall to is the level of their training, or the lack of it. So ask yourself, what am I training my mind to do every day? To panic? To overthink? To chase validation? Or am I training it to observe? To endure? To return to center? Think of the mind like a muscle. If you only use it when the world becomes loud, it will tremble under the weight. But if you strengthen it every morning with intention, it becomes your greatest shield. That calm you carry isn't a coincidence, it's earned. People often ask, how do I stay strong when everything feels like it's falling apart? And the answer is simple but not easy. You practice strength before you need it. You don't build the roof when the storm is overhead. You build it when the sky is still clear. Mental armor isn't built in crisis, it's built in the quiet repetitions of self-discipline and self-awareness. So start each day with this awareness. The world outside is unpredictable, but the way you meet it, that is within your power. The breath you take before you speak, the pause before you react, the clarity before you commit, all of it is part of your preparation. You wouldn't walk into battle without armor, so why walk into your day without preparing your mind? Build your protection not from fear, but from understanding. You don't guard yourself to avoid life. You prepare yourself so you can meet life fully with presence, purpose, and peace. Every day. One of the most subtle yet destructive habits we fall into is comparison. It starts quietly, almost invisibly. You look at someone else's success, their progress, their appearance, their confidence, and without realizing it, you measure it against your own. You begin to question your pace, your path, your worth. But the truth is, comparison is the thief of presence. It pulls your attention away from where you are and locks it onto where someone else appears to be. The mind starts to drift. It starts to wander into stories that are not yours. You begin living in someone else's timeline, carrying someone else's expectations, chasing someone else's version of success. And every time you do this, you drift further away from the only place where your power exists, the present moment, the now. Your path. Comparison always distracts. It creates noise. It turns progress into pressure, joy into jealousy, and gratitude into grasping. It doesn't matter how much you've grown if you're constantly looking sideways instead of forward. What you don't see when you compare is the full story. You don't see the struggle behind the smile, the failure behind the win, the discipline behind the result. You see the highlight. You compare it to your behind the scenes, and then you begin to believe a false story, that you are behind, that you are not enough, that you are somehow less. But you are not behind. You are simply on a different path. There is no universal timeline, no finish line you must cross at the same time as anyone else. Life is not a race, it is a practice, a personal unfolding, a journey that demands presence more than performance. And to truly walk that journey, you must return to your own path again and again. Every time you find yourself looking to the left or the right, ask, what do I need to return to right now? What matters here, where my feet are? What step is truly mine to take, without the noise, without the pressure, without the illusion? This is not about ignoring others. It is about choosing not to be ruled by them. It is about appreciating someone else's light without questioning your own. It is about honoring someone else's pace without rushing yours. You can celebrate others without losing yourself, but to do that, you have to be anchored in your own journey. When you return to your path, everything becomes clearer. You stop rushing. You stop doubting. You begin to trust the process. You begin to trust yourself. You realize that growth is not always visible. Progress is not always loud. Sometimes it's internal. Sometimes it's stillness. Sometimes it's simply the decision to keep going, to stay committed, even when the world seems to be moving faster than you. So tell yourself this every day: my path is enough, my timing is enough, I am where I need to be. These are not just comforting words, they are necessary reminders. They cut through the illusion. They bring you back from the endless scroll of comparison and root you in presence. Because when you are fully present, you see the truth, that everything you need to become who you're meant to be is already within you. It just needs time, it needs space, and most of all, it needs you. To stop running from yourself and start returning to yourself. Stay in your lane, water your own garden, walk your own path, and you will see There was never any competition, only clarity. Motivation is unreliable. Some days you wake up feeling inspired, full of energy, ready to conquer the world. Other days you feel heavy, slow, even disconnected from your goals. This is the nature of human emotion. It rises and falls like the tide. You can't always control how you feel, but you can control what you do. And that is where the real power lies. Your habits are stronger than your moods. This is the truth that separates discipline from desire, consistency from chaos. Anyone can act when they feel good. Anyone can perform when energy is high and the sky is clear. But the difference, the one that builds greatness, is what you do when the fire goes out. What you do when no one is watching, and your mood offers no help at all. If you've built strong habits, they carry you. They become the foundation that holds you steady when your emotions shift. Think of them as rails on a mountain path. Even if the fog is thick, you can still walk. Even if you can't see the peak, your steps are guided. But if your actions are based on how you feel in any given moment, your path will be erratic, unpredictable, and filled with stops and starts. The mind is persuasive. It will offer you thousands of reasons to wait, to skip, to pause, to rest just a little longer. But when habits are in place, your response is not emotional, it's automatic. You don't negotiate with your mind, you execute, not because you feel like it, but because this is who you are. This is what you do. This is the quiet power of daily discipline. It removes the need for constant decision-making. It frees your energy from endless internal debates. Should I do this today? Am I ready? Do I feel inspired? All of that becomes irrelevant. When habits are formed, action becomes part of your identity. You don't brush your teeth because you're motivated. You brush them because it's a habit. The same should be true for your growth, your training, your inner work. And the beauty of strong habits is that they begin to shape how you feel over time. It's a cycle. You act in alignment with your values even when you don't feel like it, and eventually, your feelings begin to align with your actions. You become someone who trusts themselves, someone who shows up, someone who doesn't depend on fleeting emotion to move forward. It's important to be kind to yourself, yes. But being kind doesn't always mean being soft. Sometimes kindness is structure. It's keeping your word to yourself. It's knowing that the short-term comfort of skipping what matters will only lead to long-term frustration. Discipline is a form of self-respect. It says, I care about my future enough to act now, even if it's hard. So remind yourself each morning, moods are temporary, but habits are lasting. One small act done daily, even without motivation, builds momentum. It may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time it becomes a foundation so strong, even your weakest days can't break it. Don't chase motivation. Build habits. Create systems. Live by values, not moods. Because your emotions will come and go like the weather. But who you become, that is written by what you do, especially on the days you don't feel like doing it. Every day brings with it a new set of challenges. Some are visible, tasks, responsibilities, schedules. Others are hidden, doubt, distraction, fatigue, insecurity. And in the middle of all this, you have to choose where your attention goes. Because where your attention goes, your energy flows. And where your energy flows, your results grow. This is why clarity is not just helpful, it's essential. Without clarity, your day is not guided, it's scattered. You jump from one thought to another, reacting to whatever appears, allowing the world to dictate your focus. But with clarity, your day becomes deliberate. Every step you take is a conscious movement in the direction you've chosen. Not a sprint, not a struggle, but a steady walk guided by intention. Clarity is not just about goals. It's about alignment. It means knowing what matters, why it matters, and what must be done now, not tomorrow, not eventually, but now. It's the quiet power of simplifying the complex, of stripping away the unnecessary until only the meaningful remains. In a world that thrives on speed and noise, clarity is your anchor. It's what allows you to slow down inside, even if everything outside is moving fast. It's what helps you see through the fog of busyness and remember what's truly important. And that clarity doesn't appear by accident. It's something you choose to cultivate daily. You cultivate clarity by asking better questions. What am I committed to today? What do I want to create with this time I've been given? What kind of energy do I want to bring into the space around me? These questions are not distractions. They are direction. They shift your focus from survival to purpose, from movement to meaning. And when clarity meets discipline, there is no confusion. There is only forward motion. Small, focused, intentional. That's how progress is built. One clear action at a time. People often underestimate the cost of distraction. It's not just wasted time. It's wasted energy, wasted potential. Every time your mind is pulled away by something meaningless, you lose a piece of yourself, a fragment of your will. And eventually, if you aren't careful, you begin to forget what you were aiming for in the first place. But when you start your day with clarity, when you tell yourself with conviction, this is what I stand for, this is what I move toward, the distractions lose their grip. You don't fall for every invitation to drift because you are rooted, you are grounded, you are aligned. This is not about rigid control, it's about quiet strength. It's about waking up each day and choosing to walk your path with eyes open, mind clear and purpose intact. Clarity doesn't make the road easy, but it does make the road visible. And once you can see your path, even the hardest steps become bearable. So every morning, remind yourself, I don't need to do everything, I just need to do what matters. I don't need to be everywhere, I just need to be present where it counts. This is how clarity works, not by adding more, but by removing the excess. Not by pushing harder, but by focusing deeper. And when you live with that kind of clarity, even your smallest actions carry weight. Even your quiet moments move you forward. Even your stillness has direction. That is the power of clarity. Not loud, not dramatic, just focused, precise, steady. It's not something you chase, it's something you return to every day with intention, because when your mind is clear, your life begins to follow. You don't need louder motivation. You need clearer inner conversation. The words you speak to yourself are not decoration, they are direction. Say these 9 things not once. Say them every day. Because transformation doesn't come from what you know, it comes from what you practice. And if you master your inner voice, you master your life.